My name is Ruben, and this is Rattlecan Rebuilds. Last week, we tore down the engine for my 98 Subaru Legacy Outback that I got at auction for 400 bucks over a year ago. I'm trying to bring it back to life. I spent all week cleaning the engine bay and cleaning every single part of that engine to finally put it back together. I finally got some parts that were coming in. I did run into some issues today where the bearings were bad on cylinders 3 and 4. So I had to pull those bearings out. Luckily, I had some ACL bearings lying around. So we threw those in, and now the block's ready to go. I got all the parts laid out. So let's jump in and let's get to work. Here is the new oil pump that I got online. It's made by, I have no idea, somebody in China probably. And I know everyone's going to say, don't replace it with one of these. Get a stock one. I don't care. I'm just going to replace it with this one. If I have issues, it's an oil pump. I mean, I've opened it up. It's fine. It looks the same. It's not high tech or anything. It's going to be fine. The only thing I am going to change is the seal, the crank seal on the front. Knock this one out. And I ordered one from Timken. So that should be basically all it needs to make it reliable. So yeah, knock this out. Now I'm going to put the new Timken one in. Okay, new axe or new seal here from Timken. Just going to take a little bit of this Mercedes-Benz sunroof grease. Put some around the edges so it slides in nice and smooth. Just going to line it up really carefully here. Press it in slightly. And then I'm going to grab an axle socket and just lightly drive it home. Nothing too crazy. Make sure it's going in evenly. Okay, it's going in pretty good. Just keep driving it in and we'll be home. All right, I'm done. And as you can see, it's sitting back just a little bit. It's not sitting flush. Most people will say you want it to sit flush with the surface, but this is a factory one. And that one is not sitting flush with the surface. There's a lip around the edge there you can see. So that's how I did mine. So we're good to go on the oil pump. Let's go put the cylinder heads on. Now we do have one small little issue, and by small I mean we're missing this small keyway that's for the crank pulley. It accidentally went with the core engine when I returned it, so I don't know if I want to go to the junkyard and get one or if I'm just going to make one myself. I think I'm just going to make one. Oh well. Before we worry about the keyway issue, let's go ahead and prop our cylinder heads on to the engine. And, grab the cylinder head gaskets and we'll put the heads on. So let's make sure this is locked in place. And I'm going to go grab the gaskets. All right, time for the head. All right, heads on. Now we can grab our head bolts. We need 3 of them. And we need some oil. Got my little oil can here. I'm gonna oil up the threads real good, and the washers. All right, got plenty of oil on there. We'll drop the first 3 in. And then we'll do the same to the other 3. Well, we've got one tiny little problem. Seems like the kit of cylinder head bolts I ordered was for only one set, one head. So that's a little bit of an issue there. Not to worry, I did keep the old cylinder head bolts, and these are not torque to yield. So I don't care what anybody says. The Subaru bolt, the head bolts are not torque to yield, so you can reuse your old ones. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 new ones, 2 on the sides, 1 in the middle on each side, and then use 3 old ones. And I'm just going to clean them really well, and I think we'll be fine. Well, anyways, if you are going to reuse them, just make sure to clean the threads really good like I did. I just used some brake cleaner. Once you have them clean, then you're going to douse them in oil. And you want to get the washer, and you want to get it on both sides. Get the washer on there, and we'll put oil on the threads. Okay. And now our old used cylinder head bolt is ready to drop in. And I'm just going to do the same thing for the other 2. You can run these in by hand. Resist the temptation to get your electric ratcheting wrench out or your impact and start hammering these bad boys home. You do this by hand. One of these is perfectly fine. Picked this up at O'Reilly's. Just like a little speed handle. Turn it up, turn it and rotate it. All right, keep doing this, and then we're going to do the torque sequence. It's quite a bit involved in that, and I will show you guys what that entails. Here is the torquing sequence. I have it drawn out on this little cardboard here. Same one I used when I removed it. This time it's a little bit more elaborate though, but if you see here, we have some degreeage. So I need to go to the store and buy myself an angle or a degree measuring device so I can do this. And I got some little ones waiting for me at home, so we will pick this up again in the morning. See you guys in the morning. Good morning. It is the next day. We are back in the shop, ready to get cracking on our EJ25 Subaru engine build. Let's get to work. It is time to torquelate our cylinder head. I have the head torque sequence written on this little cardboard here. And I went out and bought myself a torque angle gauge this morning. I had a $5 off coupon at O'Reilly's, so I went and picked that up. Always fun when you get to buy a new tool. We're going to start with the top and then move our way to the bottom bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to torque them all to 21 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and set my torque wrench to 21 foot-pounds. So we're at 10 there. 20, 21. Lock it in place. All right, start with number 1 here. All right, now our instructions say to torque it to 51 foot-pounds. So we'll set our torquelator wrench right there. All right, go again. Okay. All right, now our next step is to back off 180 degrees in reverse order. So we're going to go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back them off 180 degrees. So I'm going to pull out my torque angle gauge, and we're going to do that step. I have it set up here. Loosen up this little spindle, set it to 0, and then just spin it till that little needle points to 180. Right there. Okay, then we'll move on to the next, which is going to be number 4. And bring you guys in close so you can see how this works. Okay, we're set on the bolt. Loosen this. We spin it until it's pointing at the 0. And then it locks the needle and the collar with the socket. Then we just give it a turn. And there's 180. All right, do the rest of them. All right, well, the instructions state to back it off another 180 degrees. Torque bolts 1 and 2 to 25, then bolts 3, 4, 5, and 6 to 11 foot-pounds, and then 90 degrees, 90 degrees. As you can see, I figured out an ingenious way to use this. I screwed the little arm into the head itself, so now it's not all flimsy. So we're going to torque these now to 90 degrees. I just did the first one. So here is the second one. Set it to 0. And always want to set it right where you feel the tension. And we'll turn it to 90. All right. We'll continue doing these off camera, then we'll move on to something else. Both heads are now torqued onto the block. Now we're going to move on to the camshafts, but first we got to put on the valve buckets, or I don't know what else to call these, but They're a little two-piece design. You got this, you know, valve guide here on the top, and then it's got this little follower that goes on top of that. There's got to be oil on both sides. So I'm just going to use my little oil can, put some oil on both sides. And get the valve bucket oiled up. Oops. And then spray some fogging oil and drop it in. And all of these are specific to their spots. So I did a good job of labeling them. Luckily, the Sharpie stayed on. And I also used tape after I cleaned them to label them as well, which I've already peeled off. Just want to be careful not to drop these. It's kind of hard when they're super oily. But man, this little engine build is going very well. I did struggle a little bit with the torquing and getting the angles correctly and all that stuff, but one thing you guys did not notice, I actually installed the wrong head on the wrong side of the block. Yeah, so that was not fun, having to take the head back off, and now I'm worried because I've had to reuse those bolts after they were already torqued. So I guess we'll see if that's something that comes to bite me in the ass later, which I really hope it doesn't. All right, I'm going to continue this, and then we'll throw the cams and cam caps on. All right, here are the cams. They are also labeled intake and exhaust. And I went ahead and put the seals on beforehand. And I've also lubed up the mating surfaces with engine assembly lube. The cams were actually the reason why I noticed that the engine was on, or the cylinder head was on backwards, because the cams would not fit. Which, can you imagine? I was upset with myself. It doesn't get more embarrassing than that. What is going on here? Okay, there we go. You want them to be able to move nice and free, just like this one. All right, now we can put the cam caps on. All right, the first two cam caps are going to get a little bit of RTV right here on the edges around the bolts. And like I said, I'm using Rhinzo seal. And you don't need to put a ton of it on there. You just put a light coat and then paint it basically on. When I disassembled the engine, the last person that did this just slathered it on there, and it was inside of the engine. I'm assuming that had to do with some of the failures. So we slide that on there like that, and then we put the bolts on. Same thing for this other front one, and then I'll put the other three on. We'll torque them on. Now we torque these to 7.5 foot-pounds. All right, now we're going to do 14. Now we just check that they spin and move freely. And they do. Feels good. I've done a little bit of work off camera. I got these two timing covers on. Now I'm going to work on getting the water pump in place. Then we'll move on to the oil pump, and then we'll start putting the timing components on and start making this look more like a complete engine. I did not put the valve covers on because if you guys remember, when I took the heads off, I had to hold the camshafts in order to get the sprockets on or off. So I'm assuming I'm gonna have to do the same thing to get them back on. So I can't do that with the valve cover in the way. So I'm first going to put a small bead of Rhinzosil around the water pump housing, and then just a little bit on the water pump, and then we'll have the gasket in between just for added protection. You don't have to add the silicone, but I really don't want to deal with leaks, so this is how I'm going to do it. All right, now we're going to torque the water pump bolts, and we're going to torque them to 10 foot-pounds. All right. And I'm going to call it for the night. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right, now it is time to install the oil pump. And before I put it on, I poured a little bit of oil inside of the pump, gave it a couple spins and kind of primed it. That's what it says in the manual to do. And then we're going to put a bead of silicone around the entire mating surface. There's two notches in here, and the crank itself is notched, so you got to make sure you line those notches up when you're going to put it in place. And I think I have them lined up pretty well, not perfectly, but all right, I got it. Cool. Now we can run the bolts in place. You guys hear that rustling sound? It's my girlfriend eating tortas. If you guys don't know what that is. She's right there. Ruining my video, but it's okay. I love her. She came to support and hang out with me while I do this. Well, I did not find any torquelation specs, so I'm just gonna tighten these to good and tight. Put some thread locker on there. And I really like these things. It's like chapstick. Here's my torque wrench. I'm going to set it to 51 foot-pounds. And then I have these long, humongous pliers so that I can get a good grip on the cam. And then we'll apply the torque. All right, there's 50, 51. Okay, now we'll lock it in place. Come over to the cam. And then I'm going to put this... Put this on the camshaft. Grab a hold of it. And here we go. This is going to be really hard. Oh, that wasn't bad. That was not that bad. Now we're going to do the second one. Grab a hold of the cam. Cam sprockets are torqued on. So now we're going to get ready to install the rest of the timing components. I got this bracket here. This bracket is for the... Something just fell out, but I'll pick it up. This bracket is for the tensioner type. There's two different types on these motors, actually. This one has this style of tensioner right here. It's got a pin on there. You pull it out. And this is going to bolt there, and it's going to put tension on the tensioner pulley. It's got that thing sticking out there. So I'm going to put these on the block, and then we're going to put the timing belt on and get this engine in time. I'm pretty much going to use Loctite on all of the timing assembly because I do not want any of this stuff falling off. Just give it the chance to ruin this engine because I've already ruined it once before and I would really hate to do it again. So we're trying to make this baby last. Okay, put these bolts in. Then I'll run them in and torque them down to 22 foot-pounds. Tensioner going in. And this is a GMB tensioner. This engine had a Gates prior, so I think this is a bit of an upgrade. I would have much rather used the OEM ones, but they are super freaking expensive. And I think this one will do just fine. Focus. Okay. What in the hell is going on here? We are having some technical difficulties. This thing is not threading in very well. This is kind of scary. Okay. All right. right, I think we have a damaged thread, so let me go get my thread chaser. Well, the freaking threads are damaged, so I got to use one of these. And if you don't know what this is, it's a, I don't know what they're called, but they fix the threads. And that's what I'm doing. Then I'm gonna have to blow all these metal shavings out. These are the little things you run into that slow you down. But we'll get it fixed. Thank God for taps and dies. Otherwise, I'd be really screwed right now. Awesome. Now we can torquelate it. Perfect. All right, everything is good. The engine spins over smoothly. I have no issues. Well, there is the engine fully assembled, plus some minor little things that we still need to do. The car is still waiting for its main power plant, but I am absolutely exhausted. It has been a very long week and a very long day today. I ran into a lot of little issues and that kind of slowed me down. I wanted to get it done today, get it in the car and drive it by this weekend, but hopefully maybe we can do that in the next video. So Please make sure to stay tuned. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out, and I really appreciate all of you guys. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.